Okay, so we have fixed the cutting issue that we're having, put a new O2 sensor in it. However, we've ran into a new problem, and that is the engine let go. Womp womp. So I haven't looked around yet, but quickly looking, that right there is a piece of ring, and this is outside of the engine. That looks like a piece of piston. That is a piece of piston. So there's a giant hole somewhere in this thing. Obviously I got a huge mess to clean up. We'll look at the graph and look at the logs and all that. Just give me a second here while I get some oil on my hand. I had turned it down quite a bit from when we did 550 something, and then we started running into the cutting issue, and I was turning it down just to try to get a hold of everything again to make sure everything was good. So the boost was turned back down for probably the last, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 runs, maybe more than that, as we went through the issue with the cut. And I don't know. So at this point, I have to do some cleanup. I have to look at the logs and see what actually went on, but there's no sign. It just literally looked like it let go. It was done, I guess. So we got to clean this up. You'll probably see lots of parts and everything. We'll just keep it all in this video. Unfortunately, we had put all hands on deck to go racing this weekend, which it's Thursday now. We're leaving tomorrow to go racing. As always, this was last minute, and here we go, broken engine. Okay, I thought I'd show you guys a little bit more of the carnage before I clean it all up and ruin it all. But as you can see, we scattered this one pretty heavily. There's going to be quite a bit of cleanup here. I'll go to the other side and see if we can see anything underneath the car. There's oil all the way back here. I know there's a huge puddle of oil under the car. As you can see, that's just a reflection of oil. I don't see any, well, actually there's lots of pieces under there. And I've already picked up a handful of parts, but I need to start cleaning it up now so that I can get and show you guys what actually took place here. Because really, I mean, obviously it just has a plastic pan, so when the rod broke, it would have just annihilated that plastic pan, and that hence why it's such a huge mess. But I'm gonna start. Oh yeah, you can see a whole bunch of stuff under there. We'll get some of it cleaned up and show you guys some of the aftermath of this thing. Okay, slowly getting somewhere. I've yet to find any pieces of the connecting rod, which I find kind of weird. I found endless pieces of the block. Endless pieces of the block. Quite a bit of, not sure what that is. Oh, that's piston for sure. So lots of piston and wrist pin, but no connecting rod, so I guess it must still be attached to the crank, and that's why this is all scattered like this, is that just swung around and obliterated the block. But this oil slick goes basically all the way to the back of the car, as you guys would have seen, so it's still lots of cleanup to do, but picking away. We'll discuss more later. Okay, well, there's no doubt that everything is well lubricated in the shop now, but I'm just showing you guys just how much. Obviously the dyno's here, it's not that far away from here, but in behind stuff I'm finding pieces of piston and pieces of rings. Just literally scattered this thing all over the place. There's another piece of piston. Nice job. Okay, it's been hours of cleanup. Floor is a little shinier, but now we're gonna try to see if there any pieces made it down inside the dyno. So Clayton, wanna give me a hand? Oh yeah, Clayton's here too. We'll just slide it back there. Why isn't it sliding? There's a bit of oil in there. So we got, oh, and there's a whole bunch of pieces of the block and everything in there too. Cool, so let's get to cleaning this mess up. Now the backside of the drum, also an oil slick. Yep, pieces of carnage. Oh yeah, it's not, that doesn't belong there. There's a big piece by your foot, I think.
No, that's a zip tie.
No, keep going back.
No, that's dust bunny.
That? Oh, gross.
That was in there.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
More brake clean. 15 billion liters. Okay, so we have the Mark 7R on the hoist. It is clearly broken, and now we're going to do a little bit of assessment, carnage assessment. Just show you guys all the broken stuff that we've seen. We haven't put it on the hoist yet. All I've seen was basically from lying under the car, which you guys probably may have seen already in the video. But now we're going to get it up in the air, show you the real damage, kind of as we see it. So, let's put it up in the air. Look at that. I think I saw a piece there, didn't I? Yeah, a piece of piston again.
That's good.
Is this the biggest piece of piston yet? Yeah, probably.
There's a lot of pieces in there.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
really
man.
scattered. But that's, some good pieces there.
I don't think that's the only spot it came through, though.
Oh, wait.
That's a piece of rod.
That is a piece of the rod. That's the first piece of rod I found. It's bent. It's bent. That's the very first piece of the rod I found, actually. That's interesting, because I actually didn't think the rod broke. I thought just the piston broke, and then the rod obliterated everything else. There's some bigger hunks of the piston.
Gross.
So that's part of the fun, but let's
Quite oily back here.
show you some of the other good stuff. You found the rest of the rod?
Yeah. It's out of the back of the block. This is bad.
Oh, yeah. That's where the wrist pin is. There you go.
Wow.
Oh, that's not the, that's the wrist pin. So the top, this broke.
Yeah, and that's at the bottom now, so. What did that rod do?
That's a pretty big hunk of the block. I can't see, you're blinding me. Shine it up in there. There, you can see inside. Windowed that. See way up there?
Well, I'm kind of like trying to show the people and trying to look at
Oh no, we need a better light. Hold on. And this is the front of the block. So we it made a quick escape. Windowed the front and back pretty heavily. We're going to take the oil pan off now and just kind of look at some more garbage. We don't need to drain the oil. Dave did that. Yeah.
Oh, squirting on me. Oh.
I mean, we barely even need to take this off. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Because it's...
You can already see pretty much everything.
You pretty much... Oh, those are bolts, actually. Some of them didn't want to come out because of that. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, there's just a bit more piston. Piston skirt. Piston skirt. I wonder if this oil pan can be saved.
Baby weld.
And
Yeah.
it blew itself apart right here. There's the broken rod. You can see it still attached.
Oh, yeah.
Bearings are still good. So, and look, you can see, if you look through, you can see basically the downpipe through the engine. Or coolant lines or something I see there.
Yeah, it's the shifter.
Oh, shifter cable?
It's the shifter cable, yeah. That's through everything. Wow. That's great.
Number 3 is definitely bent.
Number 3 doesn't exist. And we're just saying that number 2 rod is
it
bent.
is.
You can see it. I don't think you'll be able to see it on camera, but rod number 2 is bent. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to film that, but no. Just trust us. It's bent.
All 4 valves still in place. And that's the only thing that would have saved that turbo. Because if those broke,
That spark plug doesn't look like it's in good shape.
the spark plug's not?
No.
Oh, we can't reuse that. Let me see the spark plug. The spark plug isn't in good shape, no. We're gonna need a new plug.
It's good. I'll put it with the rest. And you live over here. Soon there's going to be more of the engine over here than over there.
This here,
Yeah.
that's the angle drive, the differential, or the rear.
I know what that is.
Right. And well, that's it there too. Through the inside of the engine. I think it's done. I think it's done.
No rebuilding this one?
No, this one's done. You're done. How much did we forget?
Hopefully nothing.
So we tried to do this as quickly and as painless as possible.
We're hour and 50 minutes in.
Hour and 50?
Yeah.
And we definitely aren't working hard.
No?
We're trying not to take the front end off. We're just trying to leave all the AC and everything connected and dump it out the bottom. So here, look now, Clayton. Look now.
Yeah. Wow. You can tell the exact path that rod went.
Went all through there and then also on the back. Not as easy to see, but you get the gist.
We'll use the zoom in there.
I can see the light through here.
Here, stop, turn the light for a sec.
Stop.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
It was locked like, it's locked there. Still good compression in some cylinders.
Compression, I can hear it. Does that look fucked?
Nope, it's fine. That's those plugs. Take this one out.
Sometimes I do.
Bye. Is it wet?
How's it taste?
I didn't taste it.
It's 4. Can I try 3?
Sure.
Came out. A little stronger. That's a problem.
Oh, there's what happened. That is, the other ones are pretty wet. Well, at least I'm not doing what you do. Just so you guys know on the internet, Clayton, when he smells stuff, he stuffs it up one nostril, only smells from one side. His brain gets confused.
Yeah.
So, for those who you're filming, this is the one that's obliterated. All the rest look fine. We're just trying to see if there's maybe a good sign of, oh, look at that. The block's cracked. Robbie, look at that.
Yikes, where's that at?
The top of the sleeve, basically, or top of the cylinder. Okay, I've had some time to, it's been a few days now since we had our catastrophic engine failure of the Mark 7R.
A few days of sleep off your depression.
Yep, I had a couple of days of that. And there's been kind of running theories of what has happened to the thing.
We don't know 100% obviously, but I can say originally I thought it had broke a piston because we had found no evidence of the connecting rod at all when I was doing all the cleanup. But as you've seen in the footage, we did find some connecting rod. Here's some here, Clayton. There's the wrist pin and the connecting rod, which ripped apart from the wrist pin. But as you can see here, this is pretty twisted. These pieces actually, I think, kind of go together. And they're really, really mangled.
And I believe when I was looking up through the pan, cylinder 2 rod.
Exactly, and that's kind of the kicker to this is that cylinder 2 rod was bent. So what probably happened, whether it has to do with the sensor fault, it's definitely a combination. It's possible that we bent maybe, well, 2, maybe more rods because we couldn't see the other 2 the way the engine's torn apart, right?
Right, and we didn't bother taking the head off.
We didn't bother taking the head off, yeah. So
It's right
there. We bent a couple rods, and then whether the piston broke or we actually snapped a rod in half, it is, we'll never really know that. However, the rod definitely obliterated. The piston is clearly obliterated, as is the block with all the pieces. I will say a few things, and I will show you guys some of the data log from the run and the dyno graphs. But I know this doesn't show much because it's really, really mangled, but the few pieces that we can see of the top of the piston, there's no signs of detonation at all. I know that's kind of hilarious when you look at something this mangled and be like, how can you tell that? But detonation is usually going to be little tiny pits, and there's none of that on this. And looking at...
I'll toss in a clip of...
Okay. And looking at the logs, there was no detonation. It wasn't knocking at all until it took itself apart. Then it really knocked. But so yeah, we think we potentially bent rods a little bit earlier on, maybe at the 550 range. Again, with the O2 sensor problem that we were having, it could have been a combination of both. It could have been a combination of me getting greedy with boost. We don't really know that, but you've got to see the all the mass carnage that this was definitely by far the biggest engine wreck that we've done. And Clayton and I were talking about this, and Robbie the other day. We've done like multiple car shows here over the years, and we've tried to blow up engines by draining all the oil out of them and literally sit them on the rev limiter and putting rocks in the valve cover, like really trying to ruin them, and nothing is blown apart like this. We've had engine failures and other failures on the dyno, but it's usually rods spinning or just stupid stuff that happens, over revving stuff or dry shafts breaking.
Yeah, that was scary, actually.
Yeah, that one was scary. But this one, it just didn't want to play anymore. So for the Mark 7R, I know I'm rambling here. We're not sure what to do with it at this point. And
obviously these 2 liters aren't cheap.
Yeah, right now, especially with around this area, there are basically no engines to be had. Everything's being fixed because there was no cars available for so long due to COVID, and all the dealership lots were empty, so everything was being fixed. So the engines are pretty scarce. The ones that are available are not cheap. We have talked about maybe doing an engine swap or something in it. We're not really sure. At this point, I just needed to get it out of my hair because it took a lot of time to get to that point. And so if you guys have any ideas of what maybe we should do with it, if we should do an engine swap, something, tell us in the comments below. At this point, it's out of my hair, and we're going to focus on the drag car specifically for the next little bit. So for guys that are coming on for the Mark 7 build, it's going to be on hiatus for a while. We're going to focus on the drag car. That just took a lot more time than I expected. Right, Clayton?
Right, yeah.
Like, it was supposed to be a quick fix because the drag car wasn't ready this year.
Yeah, one thing after another, and next thing you know it was a month-long project.
Yep. So
it was still fun.
It was still very fun, yeah. So again, thanks to everybody that jumped on board for the parts and all that stuff. We're not done with this yet. We just don't know what we're going to do with it next, and I need a break from it. So I'll show you guys some of the data log and stuff of the dyno run and the data before it grenaded. and then we'll wrap this thing up. Okay, so here's a few graphs. I'm going to break this down real quick, but as you can see, we've done multiple over 500 horsepower runs, but that's not really the point here. I'm going to close all these. You can see that we did, our highest was 552 and 428 torque. And we were running into a bunch of cuts, as mentioned, and then on this run, as you can see, it got to about 5,800, almost 6,000 RPM, and then it tapped out. So I'm going to show you guys the data log now to kind of show you what was going on with it. Okay, so here you see the data log. This is engine speed over here in this column, and these are what's mostly important here in this case is knock. There's a couple other columns here. You'll see air, intake air temperature. All was good. So as we scroll down, as we get up in RPM here, as you can see over here, there's still no knock, no knock, no knock. Up to 5,000 RPM, no knock. Still no knock. 6,000 RPM, still no knock. Air temperatures were 27 degrees. Fueling was around 0.80 lambda. Little bit rich, but nothing crazy at all. And then all of a sudden we get to 6,000 RPM and then we see all kinds of knock. And at this point, the rod and the piston have exited the engine basically, hence why there's all kinds of knock. So, you know, everything looked good. Maybe I got a little bit greedy with boost. Maybe it was the cut from the O2 sensor that, you know, caused its demise. We'll never really know, but I just thought I'd share some of the data with you guys so you can take a look for yourselves. How's that look?
Looks good. I can almost see through it.
It's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this one up, we're getting very close to 25,000 subscribers. So if you could do us a favor, if you're not subscribed and you're enjoying the content, be sure to subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Clayton, this video is kind of drug out, but there was lots of carnage. Am I forgetting anything in this thing?
Yeah, don't blow another one of these up. It was pretty bad cleanup.
Man, the cleanup, I don't know if I talked about it in the video. I don't know, but I'm going to say it again. It took us 7 man-hours to clean up that mess. 7 hours.
Yeah, a person times 2.
Yeah, it was insane amount of cleanup. So if you have any questions or comments and related to this thing, be sure to ask them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.